So this video, I'm going to be showing you two ways to go about it. The first way is for people who have a cylinder bed machine, while the second way is for people who have a blackhead machine. I have a blackhead machine, so I would always show the way to go about it using a blackhead machine. So the materials you need is your carry board. Okay, you need a stabilizer, and I'm using a carry board as a stabilizer. You can use a Mako as your stabilizer, but I'm using a carry board as my stabilizer. This is going to be carrying the outer piece. This is going to be carrying the outer leather. While this one is a chipboard, it's a cardboard paper. This is going to be carrying the lining. Okay, so if you have a cylinder bed machine, this is not necessary. But if you don't have a cylinder bed machine, you have a manual machine or a blackhead machine, this is necessary. Okay, I'll tell you the reason in a bit. So the measurement, I am not going to be giving the accurate measurement for this work. I'm just going to be giving little measurement. So if you want to do your own, you go ahead and then use the actual measurement that you want. All right, but the measurement I am using here is 9.5 inches by 7 inches. So this one too is 9.5 inches by 7 inches. So now what you are going to go ahead and do is, in order for this one to not overpower this one, you are going to reduce it by one line, all 4 round. Now when I say one line, I mean one line. These are all the lines, right? So if you put it here, it means you are removing this one line. So you are removing one line all 4 round. Okay, so I'm going to do it off camera. I'll just put it at the edge like this and just mark one line like this. Then when I'm done, I'll connect the lines like this. You see, I'll measure it here, measure it here, measure it here, measure it here. Then I'll cut it off so that when I put my lining, it will not overshadow this one. You see it now. You see that it is overshadowing it like this. So I don't want it to overshadow it when I put my lining. So I'll go ahead and measure it and I'll cut it out. So after I was done, you will see that it is equal. Okay. The inside one is not overpowering the outside because we don't want it to if you put your lining, it will cover this exact edge like this. Okay, so that is how to go about it. Now for the wrapping of the leather, I like putting foam. If you notice that this one, it feels different. The carry board is stiff, so you need to put foam so that it will give it a soft feel, but it is optional. But me, I like putting it for my work so that it will give it a soft feel. Okay, so now I don't have leather at my disposal. I'm going to be using fabrics, different types of fabrics. Now what you're going to go ahead and do now is to wrap both the outside and inside panel. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it off camera and I'll be right back. So when you are done wrapping, this is what it looks like. This is our lining, this is our outer body. Okay, so now the next thing you're going to go ahead and do is to start working on the zipper attachment. Now what you're going to go ahead and do now is to measure 3 sides like this. Measure it like this. So we have 23 inches here. So is that 23 inches you're going to cut out on your zipper? So let's measure 23 inches here. So you cut it out on your zipper like this. Now the remaining one, we measured 3 sides already. So the remaining one side, you're going to confirm the measurement. I know it's supposed to be 9.5 inches. Okay, it's 9.5 inches. Now you're going to be cutting out a fabric of 10 inches in length. Okay, the length of the fabric you'll be cutting out should be 10 inches. Because you are going to be sewing the zip to the fabric, so you don't want the zip to be short. Instead, the fabric should be long. Okay, so you are going to be cutting it out at 10 inches. Let's measure 10 inches. So this is 10 inches here. Then you cut it out. Now the width of the fabric is, you are going to now measure your zip like this. So you can measure, what we have here is 1 1/4. Okay, measure it, so you cut out 1 1/4. You cut out 1 1/4. You cut out 1 1/4 like this, or you cut out 1 1/2. But 1 1/4 is just fine, depending on the width of the zipper you are using. Okay, so you cut out 1 1/4 like this. So now when you are done cutting, you now go and join it like this. You stitch it this way, then you stop stitch. Then you stitch it this way as well, then you top stitch. Okay, you see that these edges, even if it's leather you are using, the same thing I'm doing, that's the same thing you're going to do. So you leave the edges like this. There's a reason for it. You don't stabilize this particular leather you are going to be using for the extension of the zipper. Okay, you don't stabilize it. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine. I'm going to be sewing it here by 1/4 inch and here too by 1/4 inch, because we added 1/2 inches, so we want the 1/2 inches to enter inside. So I'm going to go ahead and sew it and I'll be right back. So after you're done stitching, this is what it should look like. If your dimensions are right, it will just fit immediately. Now what you're going to go ahead and do now is to get the middle part. You can get the middle part anywhere, either the zip or the bottom part. So you notch it, just give it a tiny notch on both ends like this. Then you give this one a notch as well, so that you will know if your design is over or less. So this one, you're not giving it a notch, you're just getting the middle, whether you write it, either you use your pen or your pencil. So you get the middle, both front and back. Holding it like this is really better. So you get the middle, both front and back. Now when you get the middle, now this is how it's going to be, right? So the zip is going to be facing like this. Are you understand what I'm doing? This is how it's going to be. This one is the lining. So when you put it, it will be like this. And the zip is going to be facing this direction, because it is in this direction that we are going to be putting the side. This is the fabric for the side. This is the stabilizer for the side. I'll show you how I got it later. So this is how it's going to be. Okay. Now what you're going to go ahead and do now is to put your zipper. Put it like this from the notch part. Put it like you wear it like a cloth. Keep this one aside. Wear it like a cloth, like this. Okay, so you are going to go and rub your gum on this part of the zip and this part of your lining. So you rub your gum. Now while rubbing your gum on the zipper, be very careful not to rub it on this middle part. Okay, you don't want it to be on the middle part, because if it affects this middle part, it will not be able to zip. The zip will not be able to zip, and that's why I'm using my hand to put the gum. Okay, you're just putting it at the sides. So I'm just using my hand to just put the gum at the edges. At the edges. So be careful, okay? Be careful so that it will not touch this thing. So I'm going to finish putting and I'll be right back. Now when I was done putting the gum, okay, so this is what we are going to do. Midpoint versus midpoint. And we attach it gently. Okay, midpoint versus midpoint, then we attach it gently. This is how we are going to attach it. So you take your time and attach it gently. Attach it in such a way that it can fold over to this side without affecting anything. You see the way we attach it like this. See it? So when you attach straight towards, you are going to bend it again. So you could, in order to have accurate thing, you could do the up and the down first to have accurate stuff. So you do the up and the down first. Then you do the second side. So you take your time. You don't want it to bend though. You take your time. Push it. I just hope you see what I'm doing. Take your time. So if your dimensions are right, they should just fit. But if they are not right, you can always reduce or increase it from this particular place. But it is better for you to check it out first using pins before you put your gum, because if you put your gum, it will be difficult to sew it on the sewing machine. Okay, so this is, I'm just arranging it nicely. So you see, the thing is entering like clothes. So you just keep arranging it nicely. One end first. Just keep doing it till everything fits in. Okay, make sure you are putting this plate in consideration as well. So you just keep doing it till everything fits in. Okay. So the thing is kind of short. So you see everything has entered. So now after it's entered like this, what you're going to go ahead and do now is to go to your sewing machine and give it a top stitch. Okay, so you give it a top stitch like this. You give it a top stitch so that it will not unravel. All right, you give it a top stitch so that it will not unravel, because it will unravel with time if you do not sew it. So you give it a top stitch. So arrange any rumpled place, because you want it to be to fit in perfectly like this. But we want it to come out squared, not circle. So when you are top stitching it, top stitch it in such a way it will come out square, not circle. Okay. Now, if you have a cylinder bed machine, you could just go join the two bodies together like this and stitch it together. But if you don't have a cylinder bed machine and you have a flat bed machine, what you're going to go ahead and do is you stitch this one separate, then you stitch this one separate. You give it a top stitch like this, separate, then you go and stitch this one separate. Okay, so that is that about the first frame. Now for the second frame, which is the mid panel, what you're going to go ahead and do is to cut out a fabric, a stabilizer that is this long. Okay, so you cut it out like this, then you add 1 inch extra, then you use your gum to gum it like this so that it will come out round. Okay, use your gum to gum it like this so that it will come out round. Then you will now put your leather, you put your material to cover it, then you repeat the same process on this one. See, I forgot to add something here. Make sure you add your zipper, 2 zipper, one here before you sew it. So after you're done, then you put your gum again, follow the same process that we did the first one. The same process that we did the first one. You see how it's going to be. All right, follow the same process that we did the first one. So this is how it's going to look like. Do you understand? It's not that difficult of a thing. So this is how it's going to be. Then you go and so when you open the zipper, it will be easy for you to stitch. Okay, when you stitch, then you will now put the upper layer. It has to be 2, but you are using a chipboard, not a carry board, so you go and put the upper layer. So that's everything about this tutorial. Please feel free to ask your questions. All right.